But from my formal opinion and what I've seen a lot, if you can't see yourself with this person for 10 years plus, should you be doing business with them? I feel like once you create a business partnership, you've created a relationship that needs to be long lasted. So if you don't see yourself in a relationship with this person for the next 10 years, then you need to go back to the drawing board.
So welcome everybody back to another exciting show of the About That Water podcast, where we help the sandwich generation build strong financial habits so that they can talk about money, enjoy their money, and spend their money with confidence. Today, we'll be talking about something that's very entrepreneurial wants to hear, and not everybody really understands it, which is really business credit. So to help us break this down, we got Cedrick Phillips, the president of Funds Well Consulting Group. Cedrick has been working with other business owners across the U.S. And so thank you, Cedrick, for coming to the show. How's everything with you?
Man, everything's good. Good morning. Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it. So just going off business credit is basically how banks determine how your company pays back its bills. So when you separate personal from business, personal credit can be capped out. Let's just say on the personal side, you can get up to 100,000, but on that business side, you can get into the millions. I really feel like it's a way for business owners to grow just by separating their finances. But once they build that business credit, they can actually get their business off the ground where the EIN can solely apply for things.
Okay, can you break down what is the EIN?
So that is the employee identification number. Typically, the EIN is what's so governed by the IRS, but that EIN number will be given to you by the IRS, and that would be basically like your business's SSN.
Okay, so the SSN, which is Social Security number?
Yeah, but instead of a Social Security, yeah, that'll be how your business is tracked. That's how the business is filed every tax season, things like that of that nature.
So now that we understand what is the EIN for the business, we have the understanding on where can we go to get the EIN? Do we just go to irs.gov or something like that?
Yes. I mean, there's a lot of places on the internet. An EIN, employee identification number, is free. So you may see a lot of misconceptions of buying one, paying for one. You can go to irs.gov and search EIN number and be able to apply for one.
Because that was going to be my next question. Should we pay somebody to do all of this, to make sure that we even set up our business correctly, or is this something that we can do ourselves?
So you can definitely do it yourself, but I always find people that may not have the proper structure of a business. And that's one thing of how to build business credit correctly, by having the full, complete structure of a business, which typically obtains to a LLC, whether you register it as an LLC, S Corp, or C Corp, getting that EIN number, getting that business bank account under the business name, and then addressing the full state as far as an email address, business address, and a business phone number. So a lot of people may not know how to obtain these things. That's kind of what we help people on as far as their journey is building business credit correctly, but it can definitely be done, DIY. So I guess when some people do it, it's better to just evaluate after, because if you're still using a Gmail, your personal phone number, you don't have that website established, lenders typically won't take you serious.
That makes sense. So is there anything else? Is there a checklist that you can kind of run down right quick that we should have when we start our business?
Yes. So typically the checklist is register as an LLC, S Corp, or C Corporation, not just a sole prop. A lot of people, I still come across sole props, and people don't understand that sole props actually connect you to your personal. So I always recommend getting that LLC, S Corp, after you register your business, you want to get that EIN, that employee identification number. Then you want to open up a business bank account. You want to have a dedicated business phone number, email, and address that can be verified as well. And then these are the things that show that you're running a real company.
Okay, but what about the articles of operation? Because I noticed when you try to open up a bank account, they usually ask for that. Do you guys have to set that up too?
Yes. So we do help businesses set up their structure as far as their entity. So it would be kind of going back to the drawing board of what they want to register as. But going through the Secretary of State, the SOS, typically can get you an LLC, or some people just outsource that work to us as well, where we're able to set up their entity.
Okay. Yeah, I know because when I set mine up, I had to write articles of operation of like, how things are going to be distributed for the business. And that actually had to be filed with my local state. Is each state a little differently that they don't need articles of operation to get structured?
9 times out of 10 times out of 10, they will need articles of organization as far as having that structure. Some people may register as a DBA, which is doing business as, but I always recommend just having it separate because, let's just say if someone decided to sue you and you're doing sole proper DBA, you're 100% liable versus they suing the LLC or that S Corp. Now the business is only liable.
So, are there particular websites or anything like that or programs that we can be part of to kind of help build our credit?
So the first thing, once you get your full entity structured, you do want to obtain a DUNS number. And that is from Dun and Bradstreet. That it's one of the business bureaus. And then you also want to register your businesses on Experian Business and Business Equifax as well. So you can actually monitor your business credit reports. And typically one of the fastest ways that you can check your business credit or even start establishing is going through NAV. I'm not sure if you ever heard of NAV, but NAV helps business owners. They show you your business trade lines. They also help you build business credit.
So, going through that, and we realized that we have this set up, we got everybody, they know who we are. Now it's talking about getting funding. Do we actually, what was the best way to get funding for the business?
So getting funding for the business, once you have everything properly structured and set up correctly, now you want to do your due diligence on what programs are out there and then what programs you actually qualify for. So let's just say you have good credit, you start establishing business credit. You can go to, I usually do credit unions, banks, CDFIs as well, where they can possibly pre-qualify you, or you get approvals through these banks and credit unions. If you have bad credit and you're building business credit, there's things such as vendor accounts where you can actually set up vendor accounts and now your business can build credit. Some of those vendor accounts can typically be net 30s where you may purchase this product and you have to pay it back in 30 days. So a lot of people can actually set up vendor accounts with Uline. Let's just say if they're a cleaning company, they get cleaning supplies. A lot of people establish net 30s with Amazon as well. If they're e-commerce resellers where they can actually get this product ahead of time and pay it back later. Even with Office Depot, I think during the pandemic, that was one of the first things I used to build my business credit. And I got approved for a net 20. And they told me they didn't approve people without a physical address. I was still using a virtual at the time. And my net 20 allowed me to get majority of the things in there and pay it back in 20 days.
That makes sense. So, like you said, with the physical address, when you say virtual address, how did you go about doing that? Because I know there's some tools out there that can kind of assist you with that, but which ones that you found have been the most helpful?
So you have those virtual addresses. You don't want to really keep it in the bandwidth of a PO box just because that shows that it's not a more compromising location. Some lenders will actually Google Earth the address and see if it's brick and mortar or if it's actually a virtual location. So some of the best strategies to use is if you actually know someone that will let you sublease their address. That's actually brick and mortar. Those are one of the first things that I recommend. If you can actually sublease. So let's just say, if, a general contractor, tire shop, maybe they have a building, or if you're in the salon suites, then you can actually use, that suite number or that address as well. Then you have your online companies that do like Alliance, Opus, things like that as far as virtual addresses. So typically they may offer PO boxes, but some of these online structures set up where if you pay a higher subscription, you have that allowance where you can actually do in-house meetings where they actually give you a physical location. where you can actually sit and meet. So I do recommend that as well.
That is interesting. I never thought about like a sublease option to actually go to a place. Because for me as a podcaster, most of my stuff is virtual. But I did have to actually get a physical address just in order for me to kind of qualify for some of the bank uh, loans, and not even bank loans, just for the bank accounts. Utilizing the name. When it comes to building your name, does that actually impact on how much credit you get? Because I've heard that sometimes, depending on what you're putting in the name, they kind of determine on like, hey, we're going to give you this amount of dollars versus a large chunk.
Yes. So definitely the complete structure of the business, but the name of the business will actually, I wouldn't say it'll disqualify you, but it will put you in a high risk category. So if you have a high risk name, like real estate's high risk, so any type of real estate, there's a lot of high risk businesses out there. Construction, car rentals, just avoiding those high risk names will help actually make your business more fundable. Even though if you do choose a high risk name or have that name, it still comes down to your SIC code, which is what identity your business is in, what category. So I wouldn't say it's more of how much you can get, because, certain structures of the business will allow, or it'll kind of just raise red flags until they actually know what you do, what your SIC code is, what operations you're in, and then it kind of takes its toll.
Yeah. So thanks for that. Like, why do you think that a lot of business owners just don't decide to build their own business credit? Like, they might see it, but don't really care about it.
A lot of people that I recommend that don't want to build business credit, either they don't have the patience or they're unaware of how to build business credit. They just don't know. And, I was that same person years ago, like, wait, there's business credit? And then once I learned how to build it, establish it, it made a big difference on the business. So a lot of people just aren't educated on it, or it's not an overnight task.
Gotcha. Okay, so then what are some myths around it? Like, what are some big myths around the business credit?
Some of the big myths, I don't know if you see this on TikTok, but you can qualify for up to 100,000 with 500 credit score. Typically that's wrong. It's very misconcepted. A lot of people still need to have good credit on top of their business credit if they want cash loans and cash lines of credit. Another big myth we see is that people think business credit is just business credit cards. A lot of people don't know that you can actually establish business credit financing equipment. So equipment provides those auto leases that actually report, and just the reportability oversold of that side. So there's leases involved, trade lines. So it's not also just about business credit cards.
It makes sense because, business is business, and sometimes it's booming, sometimes it's not. So, like, what got you into this whole business in the first place? Like, why even get into, business at all?
So what really got me into entrepreneurship is, being part of the corporate world. I was very adequate on my work ethic. So I would move up into positions, but, I wouldn't be able to go where I needed to, maybe because of, they chose someone else, favoritism. I kind of seemed like, man, if I could just start a business, I could do all this, and become my own boss. And I was in a situation where I actually needed to fix my finances and fix my credit. And that's kind of where it started from, doing credit repair, and to me, getting into the finance industry. But once I fixed my finances together and got my credit together, I thought, like, man, if I did it for myself, I can do it for someone else. And then that's just kind of where, like, I messed around and got like 5 test clients. I was like, y'all don't have to pay me, just be my test products. And ever since then, I haven't looked back.
Um, and that's an interesting story. So, like, going through all of that, was it like somebody in your ear to say, like, hey, why not do this that way? Like, was it like a family situation? Your mom, your dad, were they entrepreneurs too?
No, actually, I think I'm the only person like on the side that really, went with entrepreneurship. I was like, I would say the black sheep, someone growing up. Both of my sisters, they have degrees, and, I just got this paper that said I took this course. And that was the time then. So at that time where I was really assessing entrepreneurship, just had my son. and I needed a little bit more availability and more time for him at that time. So, I was doing 10 to 12-hour shifts, thinking it was, like could just run my business. And now I'm working every day to make sure I don't have to work those 10 to 12-hour shifts.
Totally understand. I mean, with the flexibility to start your own business, because one of the things most businesses don't last that long. Usually it's only like 2 or 3 years and then that's it. So how did you know, did you like when starting a business, did you actually sell the product first or did you build the business first?
So I actually built the business first. Most business owners don't last just because due to lack of funding. 80% don't know, they get declined by banks. They don't know what to qualify for. They don't know anything about funding. So just me, I took a lot of information in before I actually started the business. But once I built the business out correctly, that's kind of when I just went full blown entrepreneurship.
Because it gets you to think of, does the business work before you even go to, the full length of like saying like, hey, let's go down and build this business without even, but you already knew the market that you're getting into, right?
Yeah. So I actually researched the credit repair market. That was one of my first actually like full-time businesses that I started. But I researched the market. I kind of seen the price point of what I could charge, other products that I can actually sell. But from a standpoint of like having a business plan, having all that stuff together, I didn't do any of that. I took the leap of faith and I got organized after.
Okay, so now your mission is to kind of help everybody get their stuff together, not like how you did it, but to do it right the first time.
Yes, to do it right the first time, even when I was doing credit repair, my business name was, Keys to Credit Financial Solutions. And having credit in my name literally stopped me from having certain banks I wanted to bank with because they didn't work with credit repair companies and just certain type of funding options. Hey, your CRO, we can't help you. So just being able to help business owners complete their structure, be able to prepare for funding and financing so they can actually start, scale, or grow a business is very helpful these days.
Okay, so why this business instead of anything else? Because I understand, like, yeah, you're in it, but why would you make almost like something you enjoy a business? Because doesn't that take the fun out of it?
I've seen things like that where, it can suck you dry. But if it's how they say it's not a job if you love it, right? So
That's
kind of
true.
in that same sense, I love helping people. So that's why I started to grow and structure the business, and we just keep moving forward from there.
Now, I mean, obviously, starting a business on your own, you got to have a family support. How did your family support you in this process?
Man, when they say strangers support you more. So I had my sister, she was real outgoing. She was just like, if this is something you want to do, you got to do it. And then my mom, she always supports my decisions. So she was just like, make sure you make enough money to not need a job. So it was kind of just from there. She just gave me those motivational words. My mom was one of my clients. I've actually helped her build and fix her credit. And just moving forward. So it kind of became more into the community as well. Just where I'm located at, a lot of people, they're uneducated on finances. They don't know how to properly build credit, or they don't even know how to, maintain their credit. So I always tell people my job is like, once we complete the program, is for you to not need me again. I want to be able to educate you on this so you know how to structure your credit, build your credit, to stay under 30% utilization on your credit cards, to not overspend, what to do when there's a collection that hits, and how to pay your bills on time. So I have people where they completed it and they come back a year or two later, but my goal is to make sure you understand this by the time.
So that get me thinking of like how you said, as far as building your credit, like actually paying your bills on time. I didn't really know that a lot of people struggle with just paying your bill on time, even if it's just a minimum. But it's like you see the bill, just pay the minimum. Like, what was that struggle about that?
So I want to say a lot of people may be drowning in debt, or they may just let those finances pack up, or they're not responsible. You got those people that'll take that trip to Miami and they'll worry about the rent later. But just basically organizing your finances. And I definitely say budgeting. If you're spending more on bills than what you're making, you definitely need to budget. So I guess that's really key, budgeting and knowing what you can afford so you're not putting that financial burden.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because the reason why I'm taking a shift on this conversation to more personal credit from the business credit, because you mentioned earlier that your personal credit actually helps determine your business credit starting out. Is that fair?
Yes. So a lot of people, and I don't know if you've seen the TikTok gurus, but they talk about dunce numbers all the time. But when lenders actually check your credit, they're looking at your FICO SBSS score. And that actually maintains from your personal and your business credit. You can have a perfect business credit score, but if your personal credit shows that you haven't paid bills on time, who's going to lend money? So definitely just structuring that out. And usually what lenders look for is credit age. A lot of people, they want 50,000, but you don't have comparable credit. A lot of people don't even know what comparable credit is, even though that they may qualify, they get denied. You want $1,000 car, but the highest thing you have reported on your credit report, is a $2,000 credit card. You haven't showed us any comparable credit that you can afford this.
And that goes back to the industry that you fall under, because say if you are in construction, most of that equipment is about 100 grand or more. But your personal, you probably don't even need about over a $10,000 credit card. So it goes back to your industry specific, if I'm reading this correctly.
Yes and no. Like to finance a lot of equipment, a lot of finance lenders, equipment lenders, they look for comparable credit. That's why a lot of times they like to lend to people that have mortgages.
Cool. Okay.
You see, it shows that comparable credit. You got this reporting trade line. Your mortgage is reporting you bought your house for 150K. That's reported on your credit. Or maybe, you financed the vehicle for the business, that was 20K, or even in the personal side. So being able to just structure that as well, but 9 times out of 10, it definitely starts with them just taking action as far as a game plan. Cause I run across a lot of people that, they make good revenue in business, but their credit has been shot to the ground. And just kind of restructuring those finances and being able to rebuild that profile.
So as we go through, slide over to the third segment, which is the features. Like, what areas of focus are you looking for in your life uh, in the next, you know, 2 months?
Areas of focus as far as like business or personal?
Yeah. I'll leave that up to you if you want to do both, but mostly on the business side.
On the business side, we're definitely looking to expand. I'm hoping I can actually bring some more people to my brokerage shop. I do have one assistant right now, but I'm actually looking to grow and show people how to become a loan broker. So in the next 2 or 3 months, we'll still be focusing on structuring business credit and helping people obtain financing. But I definitely feel like scaling wise, I'm hoping to add on some more staff. But typically my niche is to help startup businesses. I prefer those a little bit better because it's like the journey. Like when you buy a house, that's something that, you remember. When you start a business, that's something you remember. So just kind of like that. I wouldn't say that the shift, but it gets people into that mindset, just
Yeah.
because where I'm at, a lot of people, I've seen these restaurants, these business owners, they may last for that a year or two and then they nowhere exist. And this is like, I've been in business since 2019. So this is like the longest, like I've kept it consistent. And it has its ups and downs as well. But I guess that's what it's about, right?
Yeah. Everything can't go smoothly. With AI in play, how does that actually impact your business or in some way?
So, man, AI is going to be the new wave soon. We use AI technology to actually underwrite our businesses. We can see what revenue businesses are producing. I think pretty soon AI will be the new wave. Like you may not even have to go to a bank no more. You may just have to, AI is going to underwrite your file. But I really feel like it's definitely a security and safety net. It blocks out those people that may be doing fraudulent activities. Like I'll just give you an example for me. I get a lot of people that submit when they're looking for business loans or personal loans. They submit to me fake bank statements. They may edit their finances and I actually use AI to track that. And it'll actually tell me the authentication of the statements, but whether they're real, fake. And even just kind of getting an overdraft of the business, how much revenue it is. It'll show the DTI. So I feel like pretty soon it's going to get more advanced in the lending industry.
Okay, and DTI, to break that down, debt to income.
Yes.
Okay, let's make sure. So, but for you, you know, you have your family all set up. Uh, you know, are there any habits that you're trying to improve on for yourself?
I would really say just kind of focus more on, I learn every day. So I acquire new skills. I try to use them in my everyday life. So really just acquire new skills and passing them down. I got this 10-year-old. He's a little hustler. He makes these little bracelets and sell them in his school for school bucks. I've showed him how to do his finances. He actually knows how to edit with CapCut. So just basically seeing how I can pass it down, just, from generation. Definitely focusing more on building generational wealth.
Okay, now this is one of the controversial things that I go back and forth on, which is that when you quote unquote building a legacy for the business, if you already notice that like a lot of businesses, they go under because they don't have a family member to pass it on to. Sometimes parents create these businesses and like, oh yeah, one day, son or daughter, this business is going to be yours one day. And they're like, I don't want it. He's like, I'm not interested in it. That's your thing, and let it be. So do you hope that your children will take this over, or what's the deal?
I don't know what my son wants to do. One minute he wants to be a doctor, and the next he wants to be TikTok famous. But I'm hoping just with the skills and the resources that I do show him, he'll be able to make very, very smart financial decisions moving forward in life. As far as adulting and growing up, if it's something that he's willing to do, I'm all for it. But I won't really push it on them as well. I won't push it on them, but I like to show him a little bit about the business side of the business. Even when, I got this, when I was for my credit repair clients, he stamps all my letters and drops them off. I drop them off at the post office. So even showing them a little task. But I'm hoping if it's not being able to pass down, that I can develop mentees and people under me as well that have learned these skills to be able to produce income.
Nice. Now, hopefully, when he's on all these stamps, you paying him, right? So he can go inside his retirement account.
And it's going to go inside his Roblox account. But we get into that
Oh my
retirement
gosh,
account.
right?
Yeah, I mean, he takes every little Roblox. I'm like, hold up. But definitely.
So, yeah, I mean, after hearing everybody saying it, I know you need to just go to and buy some Roblox stock, just to kind of get into that, because I didn't realize all these kids pay for this, man.
Yeah, I was like, me growing up, we had like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon. Just now he's like, no, that's old people. So I was like, what? Wow. They're just Roblox at this point. He doesn't have to leave the house. He can play on the Xbox, or we go to the library. He still tries to find a way to get on there.
That's crazy. But is there anything that you want to leave the audience with before we get to the final 4 questions?
Definitely want to just leave the audience with, if you don't know what's hindering your credit, if you want to be able to start a business, buy a house, purchase equipment, turn that credit from zero to hero, do due diligence. You can reach out to us. It does not start until you start.
I like that. All right. So you ready for the final 4?
Sure.
All right. Number 1, what does wealth mean to you?
Wealth? I feel like wealth is, it's a tricky question. I feel like wealth is what you can actually, everyone say it's a physical demeanor. It's not in the shape of money, but wealth is what you can bring over time. I feel like wealth is, in a sense, what are you worth?
All right. I like it. Yeah, so you can get very philosophical with the word when you start looking at definitions.
Yeah, I'm just
with
like,
everything.
Especially in this economy right now. Tariffs is taking that word down.
For sure. Be like, the wealth is actually being able to pay these tariffs.
Oh no, for real. It's definitely, even in situations now where I think I've seen an article where it said from like, I just went school shopping yesterday for my son, And I seen an article not too long ago that stated like from start to finish in today's economy, or from kindergarten to college is almost like 150K per child, possibly more than that. And I'm just like, whoa,
I agree.
like the whole 18 plus, and it's just, man, baby boomers.
Well, I mean, you got to think about all the extracurricular activities that they got to go through. If they're gonna stick with it, they not stick with it. I mean, think about like when you were growing up. Like, um, obviously you're gonna provide more than what your parent provided you, but it's like, you know, are they gonna buy this sport? Yeah. Or you gonna say like, no, you're gonna stick to this one until I can figure out something else. Like, number two, what was your worst money mistake?
My worst money mistake, I don't like to slander or anything. I guess one of my worst money mistakes is just not, went into a bad partnership. It's wasted time and wasted money, but it was an equivalent of both. So I definitely would just say, a bad business partnership.
Okay. Well, now I got a question. Because it's like, how could you prevent that? Because we all got, if you're going to try to build credit, and like, how would you prevent, like, on document sheet of paper? You know, would that make sense? Would that help?
I would definitely have some type of formal agreement that's locked in. You know, I come across now, like offering financing to people. I come across a lot of people that they go into business with their partners. They're trying to buy out their partners, or even when they're husband and wife, and it gets messy in those situations as well, where they are business partners. But from my formal opinion and what I've seen a lot, if you can't see yourself with this person for 10 years plus, should you be doing business with them? You know, I feel like once you create a business partnership, you've created a relationship that needs to be long lasted. So if you don't see yourself in a relationship with this person for the next 10 years, then you need to go back to the drawing board.
So, would you think that marriage is a business?
Yes and no. That's yes and no. But no, I don't want to be that person that looks at marriage as a numerical fraction as far as a number, but I felt like how you conduct your marriage, that is conducting business. How he and she operates, or, you know, she and she, him and him, how they operate, that is a form of way to conduct business. But when you come to finances, assets, definitely can turn into something a little tricky.
Right. I mean, I firmly think that marriage is a business. So, you know, like you said, with the contract to write out everything, it's helpful. And then also, as far as like if things don't work out, you know, you can just put in the clause to say like, hey, well, after this, we break up, you move out, you don't get to have anything or whatever, and they agree. Nice and easy. It's called prenup. Make life easy. Uh, I know we went down a rabbit hole, but let's see. Number three. Is there a book that inspired your journey or changed your perspective?
There's a few books, but one of the ones that kind of helped me change my aspect was The Art of War.
That's interesting. Why that book?
I'd say, it kind of just, you know, when I was younger, I was a complete different, you know, wouldn't say a war child, but I was going through a path where that path would either lead me to good or it left me somewhere else. So just redefining the mindset after I read it, like it kind of gave me insight, you know, how to defeat a person without going to war. So it kind of just changed my aspect on things from a standpoint, even in conflict, but even on, you know, everyday situations.
Okay. Yeah, I have to reread that book. That was actually a fun one. It's small, so it's a quick read, so it's not too long. So let's see, number four. What is your favorite dish to make?
My favorite dish to make. All right, I know we were talking about Puerto Rico. My favorite dish to make, empanadas with some Puerto Rican rice. Favorite thing.
Nice. I might have to try some. I didn't. Did it? Because I know we call it like Spanish rice, but is it different from Spanish rice?
Just kind of depending on what seasonings and flavor you put in there. But typically it is. I mean, gandules, Some people use minced garlic, and then sofrito is just, the key in the Caribbean, but definitely a little different.
Okay. Let's try this out one day, see how it goes. So this is the very last question of the show, which is, where can people find out more about you?
If you want to find out more about me, you can go to www.fundswellconsultinggroup.com with 2 G's, or you can call.
Awesome. Cedrick, thank you so much for coming through, sharing your knowledge about business credit, helping us to even build up our personal credit, and realizing the importance, the links between the two, so that we can actually have a successful business starting out from the ground up. And remember, if there's anything that you as a listener is having issues with, and you always just have a question, leave a comment down below on YouTube, or even just leave a message on Spotify. So I look forward to hearing from you. Hopefully everything is going all right. Remember, you can only put one shoe on at a time. Trying to put 2 of them on, you can actually hurt yourself. We're not getting younger anymore. We're getting a little bit older. So y'all be safe out there. We out. Peace.
I appreciate it.